Let's go fishing.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway, looking for adventure, and whatever comes our way. Yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a loving embrace. Fire all of your guns at once and explode into space.
Today we're at the estuaries and wash pools of the Margaree River. It's a beautiful spring day. The water is receded where it's now a safe height and slower current for wading. The Margaree is well known for their continuous Atlantic salmon run lasting from early spring through the summer and into the fall. As the river is just open to trout fishing only, I thought it'd be a good idea to look at where to find the trout holding in this predominant salmon river from a trout perspective. For years I've been told on a sunny day you should use a bright fly, and on a cloudy day we should use a darker fly in clear water. But when the water is not clear, it's best to use a bright fly. Confused? My thought was if you take someone's picture with the sun behind them, then the object becomes dark. So I thought I would do a quick experiment to see what the fish actually see. Using an underwater camera and some different colors of wool to represent a fly, I wanted to actually see what a fish would see as it floated over top of them. Starting with a darker color and getting brighter, this was what it looked like. Starting with a dark brown wool looking up from underwater, we can still see this as dark brown. Continuing on, we'll now look at olive wool, which has the same results. Now to the orange, and still no change. Last is a bright pink. With that, I would assume from a trout perspective, they're seeing exactly what we see on a bright day. From about 5 to 10 feet away, a trout would be able to see my legs if I was standing close to them, which will obviously scare them away. On the other hand, from 2 feet deep, looking at the bank from 20 feet out and on an angle, you can see the fish would not visibly be able to identify someone on the bank if there is a current on the water. It would definitely be a different story if the water was flat calm. We've all heard a great place to fish is in a seam. So what are they exactly? A seam occurs when a current of flowing water meets calmer water just outside the main current. This will happen on a bend in a river where faster running water slows down at the bend, creating a seam. You can clearly see the seam as there are usually foam or bubbles on top of the water. You want to cast into the current so your fly drifts into this food zone or where the bubbles are. To create an example of a scene by standing in a current on a river. If I push my legs together, it causes the water to push around my legs. What this does is cause a seam or calmer water behind my legs. Now if I drop some wool representing a food source, you can see the current pulls them around my legs and they start to slow down behind me. Knowing this, the trout will sit approximately 6 to 8 feet behind the obstruction in this calmer water to save energy and wait for food to push around the obstruction, pushing it close to the calmer water, where with little energy they can identify and grab the food. The first thing we need to do is determine what fly to start with. This is very early spring and still too cool for a hatch. Normally I would use something that represents a minnow at this time of the year, but since the sun's out, I'm going to go with my favourite fly, the one and only. This is a fly I've made modifications to and used all over Canada, England and Scotland with great success for rainbow, brown and brook trout, and even caught salmon on it. For those of you who tie flies, I've added a link on how to tie this simple fly. Then we want to look at the water and determine where we want to fish. So if the fish are on the move running up the river to spawn, they'll stop in deep pools for a rest. These deep pools provide a safe place to rest from birds of prey. If the fish are more resident and stay in the river, they'll look for the safety of slow water with tree coverage or places to hide, again to protect them from animals and birds looking for an easy meal. If this was summer, the grass would be high and growing over the banks, creating a great hiding spot. But since it's early spring, we want to look for logs and places where fish would hide. Down here on the left looks like a great wee spot. I turned the camera off by accident, but as predicted there were fish hiding around the logs. This was a nice 11-inch brookie. Going back to the same spot, casting as close to the logs as possible, keeping my cast simple and controlled, and just letting it drift naturally, I hook into another one. As I explained during my casting video, when lifting the line off the water you start slow and gradually speed up, as a lot of time this is when the fish will strike. You can see clearly this is where it happened, but I did not make sure the hook set was right, and reeling in the excess line to play the fish in the reel did not work in my favour this time.
Yep, and fish off.
Well, that fish isn't coming back anytime soon, so I moved down to the wash pool to try a few casts at the bend into the larger pool. On reflection of today, we can draw a few conclusions. Bright flies can be seen by the trout on a sunny day, but best practice is to have several casts with a fly, and if it's not working, then change it to a different color or style. If you can see the fish, then probably the fish can see you. Best to keep a decent distance if possible to avoid scaring the fish. Fish running upriver will rest in the deep pools. We can also assume during the hot summer, the resident fish would lay in a deep pool for cooler water to be safe from the prey. Resident fish will hide under grass, trees, and streams or behind an obstruction in the current, so the worst casting conditions will hold the best chance of finding fish. Practice line control, side cast to get under tree branches, placing your fly in front of where you think the fish are sitting, so your fly drifts naturally over them.
Whoa!
Thanks for joining me on the Margaree River, Cape Breton Island. I hope you got something out of today's video. Please feel free to leave your comments or suggestions on what you'd like to see in future videos. Although I've been fishing for years, the videography and editing is completely new to me. Hopefully they get better in future videos. If you like the video, just hit the like button. My plan is to release frequent videos all over the maritime provinces in Canada throughout the season. If you're interested, please subscribe to my channel so you can get notified when any new videos posted. In the meantime, have a great day, be kind, stay safe, and tight lines.